With almost 200,000 hotels on the planet, it takes something special to stand out from the crowd.
Some hotels achieve a status that goes beyond 5 stars.
When you go there as a regular person, you are a celebrity.
Butler service.
You have everything you could possibly want.
Want to sleep in Marilyn Monroe's bed? Of course you can, for $7,000 a night.
And satisfy the world's most demanding guests.
It is no surprise for a guest to spend anywhere between $70,000 and $90,000 on room service alone.
Today, the story of one of London's most legendary hotels.
The Ritz is a symbol of wealth. It's a bastion of privilege.
They still have a man who is employed just to touch up the 24-karat gold leaf.
A hotbed of royal intrigue.
Edward VIII would meet Wallis Simpson.
I felt that maybe my lovely ladies-in-waiting might be indiscreet.
It was one of those moments you never forget.
With a hidden past.
They were fraudsters. They decided to hush the whole thing up.
We find out the secret of how to be one of the world's greatest hotels.
The guest is always right, even if he is wrong.
Piccadilly Circus, in the heart of London's West End. An area where the rich and the glamorous eat, shop, and come to be entertained. This neighbourhood is also home to some of London's most celebrated institutions. Fortnum & Mason, the Royal Academy, and probably the most famous hotel in the world.
The Ritz is iconic because it's a hotel that really encapsulates the luxury of a bygone era.
What the Ritz in London has achieved is something quite marvellous. It has turned itself, or been turned by public acclaim, into an adjective. If I say ritzy to you, you'll think, ooh, that's quite impressive.
This 5-star establishment was opened on the 25th of May, 1906, and was designed to reflect the opulence of the 18th century French court.
You enter the Ritz through revolving doors. It's almost like you're in a little fragment of the Palace of Versailles. Before anybody started running down the corridors with pitchforks and revolution on their mind.
The palatial interior meant royalty could feel at home.
Everything is gilded. Everything is this sort of eye-aching Edwardian bling.
Beautiful frescoes on the ceiling, divine chandeliers. It's elegant, it's chic, and it's decidedly French.
When I've gone into the Ritz, it's so over the top that, you know, you are always going to be underdressed in comparison with the decor because it's all glittering and glinting everywhere. And, you know, you sort of think, bring me a powdered wig, 10 tons of taffeta, because I need to be Marie Antoinette to be in here.
It wasn't only the interior that was ostentatious. The building itself made a statement never before seen in London.
It's like a building that's landed from Paris, that somehow found a home on Piccadilly. The architecture of the Ritz is revolutionary. You can see just how the building sits on the street and sits over the pavement.
Its steel frame construction, more commonly used for American skyscrapers, enabled it to rise higher than its neighbours and to perform a clever trick, creating rooms out of thin air.
All of that front slice there is hovering above you as you walk down the pavement of Piccadilly. And that's because the footprint of the building is so small. It's absolutely crammed in there. It splurges over the top so that the bedroom level of the building extends over the pavement. They built the grandest possible building that would fit.
The hotel opened with great fanfare and was immediately fashionable with the global elite. And the man with the vision behind it was Swiss hotelier César Ritz.
Cesar Ritz was the greatest hotelier who ever lived.
The hotel was created at the height of his fame. However, his career in London began at the biggest rival hotel, the Savoy, alongside chef Auguste Escoffier.
Escoffier was one of the great chefs of the Victorian age. He very much brought French cooking to Britain.
Together, over the next 9 years, they made the hotel a huge success to global acclaim, creating a benchmark for the hotel world. But behind the scenes, they were up to no good.
They were fraudsters, essentially, and they were defrauding the Savoy out of thousands. You know, cigars went mysteriously missing. They would order things that that they would keep off the books, some things that were on the books that maybe were never there. They were siphoning stuff off, using them for their own purposes. They were fiddling the books at the Savoy.
Ritz was dismissed from the Savoy ungracefully, and the rest of the story, as they say, is a story of revenge.
The pair were implicated in the disappearance of over £3,000 worth of wine and spirits, around £400,000 today, and unceremoniously sacked.
The Savoy decided to hush the whole thing up because it didn't want the scandal. Now, this meant that Escoffier and Ritz had to leave, but it also enabled them to go on to what in a way was the crowning glory of their joint career, the creation of the Ritz Hotel in Cesar Ritz's name. Now, that should really, in a way, never have happened. Ritz should have been in jail. Ritz should have had Ritz slapped on him. Ritz should have been prosecuted in some way. But no, he was allowed to escape into this rather wonderful afterlife and found the most iconic hotel in the world.
But before being sacked, Ritz had already been planning his next move. Alfred Beit, considered to be the richest man in the world, was among the backers he'd gathered to form the Ritz Hotel Syndicate. They opened the first Ritz Hotel in Paris in 1898. 8 years later, after perfecting the vision, Ritz and his team were ready to conquer London.
The Ritz Hotel to Cesar Ritz was really important. He wanted to reclaim his place in London as a rival to the Savoy. So he really sort of poured his heart into the London Ritz.
Ritz set out to claim his crown by creating the ultimate London hotel. He took every idea he introduced at the Savoy and supersized it. It offered 150 luxury rooms, ensuite bathrooms, double glazing and aircon. The price of a double began at £1 guinea, over a week's wages, and it was said to have one of the most beautiful dining rooms in Europe. The extravagant new hotel was an instant success with high society.
The Ritz London was the place to go because the Prince of Wales, who was already the King of England, used to go to the Savoy, said, "Where Ritz goes, I go."
Everybody went to see Ritz. They all came.
With the king in his corner, Ritz had triumphed and exacted his revenge on the Savoy. And now, over 100 years later, both hotels still compete over the same territory. Coming up, the Ritz's royal patronage takes hold.
Edward VIII was a regular there, and he would meet Wallis Simpson.
And one of the worst-kept royal secrets is revealed.
It was very quick. It was over in a flash. They just came out, got in the car. That was it.
Sitting between Mayfair and London's West End, the Ritz Hotel has one of the most prestigious postcodes in London. Born out of revenge to outdo the Savoy, over 100 years later, luxury prevails.
If you want the address in London, this is it, and you're very welcome, as long as you don't need to look at the prices.
That's where I had my first martini, and it always felt tremendously glamorous.
It's the perfect place if you're a well-connected person in London who's plugged into the circuitry of power in this city. You've got the West End theatres over there, all the posh shopping. Down there is Hyde Park. It's really the perfect kind of location if you move in those kind of circles.
For over a century, the hotel has attracted world leaders and A-list celebrities.
I've been to a few parties at the Ritz, and of course the surroundings are so glamorous and so beautiful that it's the perfect backdrop to a great event.
But no matter who you are, dressing down is not an option.
Men must be wearing jackets, no denim is allowed, and even Mick Jagger was turned away once for not dressing correctly to have tea.
Whilst Mick couldn't get no satisfaction, on that occasion, there are some locals who are never turned away, and they live just up the road in Britain's most famous family home.
Buckingham Palace, a great iconic building and only a stone's throw, a brisk walk from the Ritz Hotel, which is why this building and that building have had such a kind of intimate relationship. You can easily walk across from Buckingham Palace to be discreet, to be cloistered over at the Ritz. And the two buildings had this kind of architectural similarity as well. They're both places that say power. They're both residences of the establishment. They're both landmarks in London. One is a real palace, one is a building that certainly thinks it's a palace.
The Ritz is a very favoured venue by the royals. It's a quiet, distinguished, aristocratic elegance in which I think that the royal family feel very at home.
Edward VIII was a regular there. He would dance the night away, and he would also meet Wallis Simpson in the dining room. And it's said that they would have a table close to the door in case they both needed to make a swift exit from prying eyes of high society.
It was one of the Queen Mother's favourite hotels. She loved it when the pianist would play A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square.
And if you're looking for a piece of royal gossip, where better to go?
I began to get to know some of, particularly the Queen Mother's ladies-in-waiting. As a bit of a treat, I used to take them to the Ritz. We were always given a rather lovely table, and it was just set aside a little bit from the other diners so that I felt that maybe my lovely ladies-in-waiting might be indiscreet. I have to tell you, generally they were not, but they gave me information which formed a framework for reports that I was going to do without them telling me any indiscretions.
It's been so popular with British royalty, it was the first hotel in the world to be awarded a royal warrant for services to catering and banquets. And in 2006, the Queen herself hosted a dinner to mark her 80th birthday with closest friends and courtiers. Arthur Edwards has been photographing the royals for over 40 years, and the hotel was the scene for one of his most important shots.
After Diana made that amazing confession, or made that great interview with Panorama, mentioning, you know, the third person in the marriage, which was Camilla, there was massive interest in Camilla.
Following Diana's death in 1997, the interest in Charles and Camilla's relationship intensified, and rumours were spreading that Camilla had even met the young princes.
I was always a great advocate of theirs. We, the royal rat pack, if you like, had been waiting and waiting for the moment that Charles and Camilla would become official. But in January 1999, on a cold day, word went round that something was going to happen. The venue was going to be the Ritz.
An exclusive shot of Charles and Camilla together was worth £100,000 straight off. I got this tip from the palace saying, look, Prince of Wales is going to Camilla's sister's birthday party at the Ritz.
I made lots of phone calls to the Deputy Private Secretary of the Prince. He didn't like to give too much away. Eventually, kind of the code was, well, shall I get someone to put a ladder on the pavement outside the Ritz, because that's what happens. All the TV companies and all the photographers stake their place by putting a ladder there. And he indicated that this might not be a bad idea. So I ran to the news desk and said, get a ladder down to the Ritz, something's going to happen.
Oh, I thought, this is good. So I wanted the front row right opposite the door.
There were 200 photographers there, loads of journalists, all the TV companies.
Americans were there, the Australians were there, everybody was at their crews there.
And out they came. They stepped into this barrage. I cannot tell you. It was flashbulb after flashbulb.
It was like a blitz, the flashes, you know, it was like, it was incredible. And I think poor Camilla was like a rabbit caught in headlights.
And then it was very quick, it was over in a flash. They just came out, got in the car, but that was it. Charles and Camilla, official.
It was a sort of one of those moments you never forget.
For those of us who can't head back to the palace after a few shandies in the hotel's Rivoli bar, there are 112 rooms to choose from, plus 24 suites, the best of which could set you back over £10,000 a night. Rivals the Savoy, however, have recently opened their own royal suite, averaging £15,000 a night, although significantly bigger than the Ritz equivalent. The hotel may cater for the rich and famous, but its founder certainly wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Cesar Ritz comes from an extraordinarily humble background. He was one of 13 children, the son of a Swiss goat herd. I mean, it sounds like something from The Sound of Music, doesn't it?
The ambitious young Cesar Ritz worked his way up the ladder in some of the best hotels on the continent, where he gathered a loyal clientele of wealthy aristocrats. But perhaps the most defining moment in his career was when he came to the attention of the young Prince of Wales, and it all started with a cigar.
Ritz went to Vienna, and there he saw the Prince of Wales, the future Edward VII. And he remembered the Prince of Wales after the meal liked to have a cigar and drink a glass of alcohol. So when he saw that the Prince of Wales was finished, he came with a tray, a cigar and matches. And the Prince of Wales said, how this young man knows what I like. And this was the beginning of very, very close collaboration.
This was not only the start of his relationship with his most famous patron, but a milestone representing what he believed great service should be.
At the time Ritz started in the luxury hotels, the service people came from private houses. It means they stayed on the wall, waiting that the masters were asking to have something and to serve them. And Ritz said, it's not the way to work. Ritz wanted that the staff acts like he did with the Prince of Wales, anticipate what the client wants, to be always in advance on the desires of the guests. This was the beginning of a different type of service in the hotels.
This style of service has since been emulated in luxury hotels around the world, but it was Ritz who championed it first.
Their service hasn't changed. That's what they're paying for. People want that feeling of, I'm not royalty, but I'm being treated like royalty.
Today, there are 2 full-time members of staff for every guest room and a team of butlers who are on hand to help with everything from unpacking to party planning.
According to the motto of Cesar Ritz, the guest is always right. The guest is always right, even if he is wrong.
This ethos has spread beyond Ritz's establishment to hotels throughout the world. As a 3rd-generation butler who now trains butlers internationally, Anthony Seddon Holland understands the standard of personal attention that Cesar Ritz demanded for his guests.
Many hundreds of years ago in households in France, there was a male servant who was called the botelier. which basically meant he was the man who was responsible for the storage and service of wine. And that this somehow became, in the English language, butler.
A key part of hotel butlering
Anthony, butler service.
is checking the room before a guest arrives.
Even though theoretically I know that this is an empty suite, we never assume and presume anything, so I'm going to just double check. Anthony, butler service. Anthony, butler service. Anthony, butler service. Okay. This suite is empty. I can now commence my sweep of this suite just to do a last check to make sure that everything is where it should be and everything is how it should be. The thing that people want to see is service. When it's a butler service, people's perspective is always that that butler service is going to deliver. In a five-star world, you know, you are looking to get everything perfect.